Gina Williams is here today with us. She is here to break her silence about a tragic incident that happened in her life back in 1995. You see, Regina lost her mother to the hands of her own husband. Her mother was murdered and stabbed by her husband over 18 times back in 1995. And just when Regina thought that things was changing in her life, another tragedy occurred. She lost her two children in a house fire. So she is here today to talk with us. We'll be right back after this commercial break. And today my guest is Regina Williams. Regina Williams has been struck with tragedy in her life. Back in 1995, Regina has lost her mother to the hands of her own husband. So she is here today to discuss the tragedy of January of 1995. Regina, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It is really a pleasure to have you here on the show with us today.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So take us back to 1995.
In 1995, I had been feuding with my husband a few hours prior to the incident, and he had left from our house and broke into my mom's home and murdered her, stabbed her 18 times, and held me hostage in the home. And I was tied up and I had my two children there. And there was nothing I could do to help my children being tied up. And at this same particular time, he had stole my mother's car and fled the scene of the crime and went down 21 Mile Road. I guess that's where the police had a police chase and found him at. But by the grace of God, I could get my hands loose, and I ran across the street to the neighbors, and they called 911. So that's how I was able to be saved.
Mm-hmm. Now, back in 1995, prior to your husband killing your mother,
Yes.
did you have any inclination, that he may do something like this?
No, I didn't.
No clues whatsoever?
No.
Was his behavior strange or different from usual behavior?
Yes, I knew that there was something wrong with him, but I didn't know about how to go about getting him some help at the time.
And what was wrong with him at that particular time?
Later on, I had found out that he was schizophrenic.
And that was after he had already murdered your mother?
That's correct, yeah.
Right, and you had no way of knowing that this person was a paranoid schizophrenic?
I did not know.
Did not know?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And so prior to the time of him doing that, he was acting different?
Yes.
And very strange?
Yes, he was.
Right. And then take us to that day when it happened. I know you said that, he had tied you up and
Yes.
stuff like that. How were you able to free yourself from him?
By the grace of God, I guess my hands and my legs were tied together. And I struggled, but I got my feet loose, but my hands were still tied together. And that's how I was able to go to the front door and open the door. But I couldn't get my kids out because I couldn't get them because I was still tied up. But I was able to free myself to go across the street to the neighbors. Mm-hmm. And so they could get some help.
Okay. And so the neighbors got help?
They got help for us, yeah.
Right. And then you were, and so when the neighbors got their help for you and stuff, the police was out looking for your husband?
Yes, and they found him on 21 and a half. Well, they were on a police chase up until 21 and a half Mile Road.
Okay. And so how long did it take for them to apprehend him?
Yeah, the pursuit lasted for, I think, 45 minutes to, about 45 minutes.
Okay. And after they had obtained him, Did he know what he had done?
He asked him, was his wife okay?
Was his wife okay?
Yeah,
And that was it.
that was it.
He never admitted to that he had done this crime or had any
No,
recollection of it at all.
not at that time. He didn't.
Not
no.
at that time, no. And so when did he come to realization that he had murdered someone?
I don't think he did until after he was sentenced.
Until after he was sentenced. Okay, so he was apprehended, arrested, and he got sentenced.
Yes.
And so how many years did he get?
He's got life without parole.
Good. Life
Yeah.
without parole.
Yes.
Right. Wow. And so while he's incarcerated, do you think he's getting any help? For his mental illness.
I would hope that he would get some help.
And as of to this day, he has never apologized for what he done or even acknowledged what he done, has he?
Not to me, no.
Not to you.
No.
But has he done that with other people?
Not that I know of.
No, that you know of. And then during this time, though, with the grief of your mother, the loss of her and stuff, how does this all make you feel as a person? Because it's a lot to bury. Lost your mother, didn't know that it would be by the hands of your own husband. A lot of people find it hard to swallow, but no one knows, who the next person is. It could be a brother or even a sister or aunt and uncle that would do a hideous act or be sick from a disease that is known as schizophrenic, though.
That's very true.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that until it's hit them close to home. So how has that hindered your life, as a person?
Well, at that point in time in my life, I just went into a depression stage.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't quite know how to go with my life at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and sought for some help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you seeked help.
Yeah.
And you got that help.
Yes.
But during the process of it all, though, you must have still have been into some type of shock and commotion and stuff. Yeah. And did other people blame you for what had happened to your mom?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
And they felt that it was your fault that had happened.
Yeah, quite a few people blamed me for it.
And then were they angry with you throughout the whole process of this?
Yes, they were.
And are they still angry with you?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Because they realize the truth now.
Well, it's been quite a while now, and I think they see that I didn't have anything to do with it.
Right. Of course you wouldn't have anything to do with, with killing your own mom, because what would you have to gain?
Right.
There's no motive there. There's not tons of money to be there, though. But we live in a society. It's unfortunate that we live in a society where we are dealing with a lot of people who suffer from mental illness. There's a lot of issues out here with mental illness. We're going to go into a short break, and when we come back, I will continue the conversation with Regina Williams. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Today, my guest is Regina Williams, and just before we went into the commercial break, we was having a conversation about a tragedy that occurred back in 1995. What happened back in 1995, her husband, at that time, not known to be a schizophrenic, but is schizophrenic, had killed and murdered her mother. So we are here to discuss, the bearings of that. So, Regina, let's continue our conversation.
Okay.
I take it that this was a very depressional stage for you, at this time. So, Regina, tell us, how are you coping with all of this? I know it's been some time, but how have you been coping?
By the grace of God, I went through a lot of different agencies that helped me, but could nothing cut it but Jesus. That's the way that I made it through this fire. I couldn't even sleep with my lights off at night. I couldn't be alone. My family had to stay up with me 24 hours a day because I was still in shock, and I'm pretty sure that all of the family members were really tired and stressed out, because I wouldn't let them sleep. I thought they were gonna die. That's how bad I was, you know. And so they would take turns in shifts of who would stay up with me for hours at a time. This went on for months now. So for me to be able to sleep now with my lights off and be at peace is a blessing today.
Okay. So there you are dealing with one tragedy, and then a tragedy occurred. Tell us what happened.
My kids died in a fire a year later.
A year later. And tell us, how did that all begin?
Well, I had took the kids to the park that day and brought them back home and laid them down for a nap. So I was living in an apartment complex at the time, and I went next door to call my sister to take me to the grocery store. And I thought my kids were laying down for a nap. My son got a hold of my lighter in the kitchen and set a bag of clothes on fire. And at the time, I was just coming from one apartment from the next door to where my apartment was, and the apartments were very old, so it was gulfed up in the flames, just that quick, and I couldn't save my kids.
We are going to visit the site where Regina lost her children. So let's take a look at this clip.
Okay, this is actually the first time I came to the site after 1996 when my kids died here. This is Upton Street. This is where they died at. I used to stay here. It was an apartment building here. That year was a very tough year for me. I couldn't come down this street. I would have panic attacks very bad. It's just hard and tragic when you lose two kids in a fire shortly after a year after your husband murdered your mother. So what I would like to say and to be able to tell people is that you can overcome anything that you're going through, as far as domestic violence, as far as alcohol and drug abuse. You can overcome all these things. Depression. I'm a living testimony, and if I overcame all these things, and I'm working now, and I'm more in a positive field of work and volunteering and in the community, you can do it also. I just wanted to come here to be able to show you what I've been through, and that you can overcome anything and endure your dreams also, as well. Okay. Even though it's been 20 years, you know, since I've been here, where my kids died at the site, it's still just like it happened yesterday, you know. It's hard for me actually to stand here right now, but I had to do this to overcome my fear of coming here. I come by here all the time, but I don't never stand here, so I came here, and it still hurts just like yesterday. But I'm overcoming it, and that's why I'm here today.
I can't imagine, after, going through one tragedy, losing a loved one, like especially your mom, and then to turn around a year later and then lose your two children. I can't even imagine something like that. And, you have to be commended to be still standing. Although the devil, done so many things, though, but you are still standing, And that, you ought to be commended for that, and by the grace of God, you still
here.
coping, and you still here, and you're still trying to survive all of this, though. And I know a lot of people out there can't and survive a tragedy, like this, when it happens to you. So I can imagine, wow, after that, life has taken a whole nother toll on you again.
Yeah.
And so the things that you had to go through and stuff, and more things that you had to cope with, how was that, for you to go through all of that again? Just lost your mother, and then now you lost your children, and you're trying to, cope with that, first with your mother, you're trying to cope with that, and, and trying to find some peace, and try to understand what had happened. And then here it is, not even a year later, than the loss of your children. So that's a lot to, to really deal with. So, so what are some of the things, though, because I just don't want you to dwell on what happened, but I want some of the things that, make you happy now, things that, that you're able to cope now a little bit better, though, and stuff, though. And so, well, what are some of those miracle things that, came into your life that help you, start a new beginning?
Well, I started volunteering in the community. I ran a women's group for 3 years.
And so this women's group that you ran in the community, what kind of women's group was it?
A homeless support group.
A homeless support group?
Yes.
Okay. And some of the things that you guys would do?
We would take them out to eat, bowling, go get their hair and nails done, spruce them up a little bit,
So they can have some type of dignity themselves in life.
Some of them had low self-esteem, so we tried to boost them up a little.
Right, it's good. And, you could be commended for that too, though, because going through a tragedy like that, but yet you had the heart and the courage to come out, and help someone who has not even really gone through all the trials and tribulations that you have gone through, but you thought of them enough, give them a helping hand, and that is really great. I wish everyone could be like that. And some of the things that you do now is besides helping in the community with the homeless people, but there's other things that you do too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about some of the other things that you do.
I kept the soup kitchen open at Washington Heights.
Okay, because a lot of homeless people be coming through those soup kitchens and stuff, and rely, on that meal.
And it was cold, and they were getting ready to close it down, so I raised over 300 votes to keep it open.
Oh, that's good. That's real good.
For another winter, yeah.
That's real good. So there's a lot of things that you've been doing in the community,
Yes.
and it took you a while to get there, though, because a lot of people may think that, oh, well, she went through some things, though, but she's over it now. But that's not really the case, because it took a long time for you to even begin to even develop to even how to cope with this.
Yes.
And so you've been out of the workforce for how many years?
For at least 16, 17 years.
17 years.
Yes.
Right. And then and recently you came back into the workforce, and it tells me that
Yes, I did.
You got this nice award from the Goodwill Industry of Central Michigan Heartland Incorporation. And this is an award that they give out to people who have improved their life and people who are help to empower the community. And Regina, you was Regina Power, is that right? Paul at that time, though. Now you're Regina Williams, so okay. So that is really nice, stuff, though. So and so now, what are you doing these days?
I'm working now at Grace Health.
Okay.
And I'm still in a program. I will be graduating from this program in the first week of June.
Okay.
So I'm excited about that.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And there's other things that you like to do. I hear that someone told me that you also like to sing.
Yes, I love to sing.
Okay, so one of these days you got to come back to this show, you know, and sing for us. Would you like to do that? I
I'ma
mean, you don't
hold you
have
to
to
that
come back
now.
to this show.
I'ma hold you
But one
to
of these days, would you come back and sing a song for us?
Yes, I would. I would love to come back on this show.
Yeah, I would love to have you here, you know,
Thank
on
you.
the show. We're going to go into another break, and when I come back, we'll continue our conversation on Making Conversations with Regina Williams. We'll be right back. You know, that's all the time that we have today on the show. You know, it was a pleasure to have you here today on the show with us. You know, and I would like to wish you a lot of luck, you know, and success, you know, in your future endeavors in life. And thank you very much for coming on the show today and sharing your story with us. Until the next time, people, you know, we always say peace because you're on the Larry Moore Show. Take care.